some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature. If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok broadcast. So I'd note that's of real interest, and the president will get the chance to make action in that regard. Typically, the Israelis are good at PR. What's happened here? How have they and we been so ineffective at communicating the realities there and our point of view?
Politicians in the United States wanted to ban TikTok specifically because it wasn't a good look for Israel. Israel had a hard time taking control of the platform and the narrative on how they were prosecuting the war in Gaza. But it turns out US politicians who have a favorable view of Israel weren't the only ones who were looking to get rid of TikTok. And I want to talk a little bit about the lobbying that took place behind the scenes in order to do away with the platform here in the United States. Now, Meta, Mark Zuckerberg's company, has apparently done a suspicious amount of lobbying around the period of the whole TikTok fight. And in fact, we've just learned some stunning new data thanks to, again, the great reporters over at Sludge. They write that Meta spends record lobbying sum amid TikTok ban debate. Now remember, TikTok is a competitor to Facebook, so that probably has a lot to do with this. And Sludge's reporting doesn't get into whether Mark Zuckerberg lobbied in favor or against the ban, but previous reporting from Taylor Lorenz indicated that Zuckerberg was very much interested in influencing the US government in favor of banning TikTok. So here's exactly how much money Meta spent on lobbying. Meta's lobbying spending rose to $24.4 million last year, an increase of more than a quarter over the previous year at the federal level. In the first quarter of 2024, the period when the TikTok ban was initially approved by the US House, Meta had its highest ever lobbying spend at $7.6 million. Now again, this particular reporting from Sludge doesn't get into whether or not the lobbying was an effort to ban or keep TikTok, but we do know that in the past, Meta has spent money in an effort to ban it. Now, Meta's latest filing mentions lobbying on homeland security issues of encryption platform integrity, election integrity, content policy, and terrorism, as well as issues related to voter suppression / interference, political ads, and misinformation policies, and others. And we also know that in 2022, Meta had hired a Republican consulting firm to disseminate messaging that branded TikTok as a national, basically messaging that TikTok was a national security threat here in the United States. And you could probably guess why Meta would want to have such an aggressive push in favor of banning TikTok. In April of last year, Bernstein Research found that Meta would likely attract about 55% to 60% of TikTok's ad revenue. If the app is banned in the US, a smaller share of about 25% would likely go to YouTube, according to the analysis. So what are your thoughts here, Cenk?
So there's a number of reasons why people want to ban TikTok. By far the smallest one is Chinese ownership. And why does Chinese ownership matter? Because they say it's a national security threat. Oh, right, the same exact propaganda that Facebook paid for in all these papers and to the politicians when they were bribing them, giving them campaign contributions and doing the lobbying, etc. So that's the smallest factor. The other factors, as we've discussed, is Israel, and which is hilarious, is we're worried that China's ownership of TikTok might hurt Israel. Why does any of that have to do with us? Okay, number three is, as I've explained many times, Scott Galloway made this point, it's really good that there's regulatory overhang on it. The threat of the US taking action has artificially depressed the value of TikTok. So whoever buys it will get about a 25% bump in price immediately. So there's a lot of wealthy interests in America that want to buy TikTok. So they want to push the current owners out so they can make, on the day of the purchase, they'll make about $10 to $20 billion extra just because of that issue. And then finally, there's Meta. Of course, Facebook and Instagram are the two main brands under Meta, and they view them as a competitor. I want to remind you guys of a story we did a while back about this. It's not just the national security threat that they're hyping up as if they give a damn. It's actually, of course, a competition threat to them. But they also, the PR firm that they hired would write op-eds and get things into the news. And they did 100 different dirty tricks, but my favorite was they would take controversies that started on Facebook and then pretend that they started on TikTok, and then get that into the news cycle and go, can you believe TikTok started these controversies? What a terrible thing, and the goddamn Chinese, we gotta shut it down so I can make more money. I mean, I've got no interest in this. I'm just worried about national security.
Yeah, it's totally ridiculous. So look, for now, it appears that TikTok is here to stay, mostly because Donald Trump has his own interests and wants to maintain the legality of TikTok within our borders. So for now, it will very much still be usable for anyone who loves TikTok, uses TikTok. And look, I agree. I think anyone who was looking to ban it wasn't really trying to ban it over genuine concerns over China. I think they genuinely wanted to ban it because it was a place where people were breaking through the accepted narrative on what's happening or what was happening in Gaza. And I love that. I love that people are smart enough to see things for what they really are and didn't buy the mainstream propaganda on that issue. Yeah. And a lot of those people were young.
Yeah, so last two things here. Yes, Donald Trump switched his position here. Number one, because he was successful on TikTok and got more popular and he liked that. But mainly number two, because one of the owners of TikTok, an American named Jeff Yaz, gave him several $1 million in campaign contributions. But I don't really care why he did it. I want you guys to know it. It's important for us to cover that so you know what his motivations are. But at the end of the day, that is the correct position. So I'll always take the correct position. Secondly, it was weird how when Elon Musk did that, what looked to some as a Nazi salute, including me, all of a sudden the ADL and Benjamin Netanyahu jumped up and were like, no, they're totally not. It's perfectly fine, perfectly fine. That kind of salute, as long as a really rich man does it, is perfectly fine. Remember, Elon got in trouble on this issue of Israel, and it wasn't even really Israel. It was more actually anti-Semitic stuff that he got in trouble for. Then he went over to Israel and they hugged and made good. Oh wait, who's one of the main guys who's trying to buy TikTok? Elon Musk. So I don't know if Netanyahu and Elon Musk have a deal, but part of the deal could be, now remember, you got X already. If you buy TikTok, you make sure that nobody says anything against Israel, because I know you hate censorship. They probably had a good belly laugh over that. I don't know if they have any such deal, but it is interesting that the people who would normally be going ballistic over that salute are weirdly supporting Elon Musk and making excuses for him as he's trying to buy TikTok. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, we really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.